Well, welcome, Tom Rockliff. It's a fantastic pleasure to have you joining the Kel Marks podcast. It's one that I've been looking forward to for well over a couple of weeks. I think you're going to offer a lot of value to anyone that wants to know about mindset in business and in personal life. And that's one part of the conversation I want to kick off with. So, Tom, welcome. And do you want to give us a bit of an overview of your background from your professional sports background and how you got into the finance space?
Yeah, well, Cal, thanks for having me. First and foremost, really looking forward to this. I grew up in country Victoria. The choice was footy or cricket. Footy in winter, cricket in summer, and wanted to play cricket for Australia or play AFL footy for Richmond. And went down the AFL path, and was lucky enough to get picked up by Brisbane back in 2008. I'm sure we'll get onto it a little bit later, but early lessons in life about resilience and learning through heartache and stuff. I broke my leg pretty severely as a 16-year-old at the National Carnival, and took a fair bit to come back from, and missed out on a couple of drafts. But as I said, the pre-season draft of 2008, Brisbane took an opportunity on me and was lucky enough to play for them for 9 years. Captain for a couple. We were down the bottom for a long chunk of my time there, but recording a couple of days after the AFL Grand Final of 2025, and they just went back to back. So it's a great journey that they've been on, a great footy club. And the back end of 2017, they sort of went in a different path, and didn't stamp my papers, but advised me to go look elsewhere. So I ended up at Port Adelaide, spent 4 years down there. Very very close to a grand final. We were kick away in 2020, and then the year after, hurt my knees playing some sample footy, and ended up with some blood clots on my lungs, and sort of pulled the pin. It wasn't sort of worth the risk of continuing on that. So from there, I sort of spent 12 months finding my feet out of the game and what I wanted to do, and did a bit of media stuff, which I still continue to do now. Bit of footy calling with Triple M, and a podcast with Neds. During footy season, we just talk about footy. So I've still got sort of a foot in the door of the past life, but a chance meeting through my ex-father-in-law now. He's been in demolition for years, and he used a broker down in Sydney, who I sort of took the meeting out of respect to him, out of the respect to the father-in-law at the time, and said more than happy to have a conversation. And once I sort of learned a little bit about the industry and what was involved in it, I sort of started to take it a little bit more serious. Did a couple of weeks shadowing him and worked with him for a couple of years, and then decided to trek out by myself. Went through a bit of personal stuff, and also thought there was an opportunity to branch out and build my own company, and piggyback off, I suppose, a bit of a past life of playing professional footy, but build my own brand. And it's almost 12 months to the day since I did that, and it's been an outstanding sort of 12 months. The last 3 months have seen some really, really strong growth. So hopefully onwards and upwards. I don't want to get too busy though, Cal. I don't want to be doing sort of 12, 14-hour days. I'd prefer to stick to 2-hour days if I can. So we'll see how much we grow.
Trying to get the balance right is always a challenge for everyone, right? I think we've spoken a few times, but you really strike me as a very disciplined type person. Maybe share with me, do you have specific daily habits that you start off your day with and you close your day with?
Yeah, well, there definitely is. I suppose it's from my footy background. I mean, I work with a psychologist still now to this day, but having conversations with them, it's drilled into you. Like if you're late, which I still have a fear of, and I hate being late. I'm very punctual with my times. If I need to be somewhere at 10 o'clock, I'm there at 9:45, and I think that's probably to do with playing AFL footy as well. Like if you're late, then the team gets punished, and you don't want to be the individual there that's standing in the middle of the circle while they're doing push-ups on their knuckles in a car park. You want to be part of it. You don't want to let your teammates down. So for me, it's also there's a little bit that I've got to retrain my brain and work out that, you don't have to be 15 minutes early, do everything. You can be on time, or if you are a couple of minutes late, it's not the end of the world. But I see being early, like a part of respect almost, like you're respecting someone else's time, making sure that you're there punctual. Admittedly, I was a minute or two late here today. I was just sending off a bit of work stuff before I jumped in here. But for the principles of sort of what I do now, I like to have a good routine. So for me, exercise is really important. Being able to get out there and run. When I played footy, I hated running, believe it or not, but I've sort of found a love for it in the last 12 months. And I'm sure if you asked a few past teammates of mine, they'd say there's no way that I would run. Put a footy in front of me, no issues at all. But running around a boundary line or doing sprints and stuff was never for me. But I found a healthy balance of that. I try and just run 6Ks a day. Generally in the morning is when I like to do it. I just work for myself. As I said before, started my own company and work out of an office from home. And I like to get that out of the way in the morning. Being in Queensland as well, I mean, it's pretty hot. It's 32 degrees first couple of days of October up here now. But yeah, getting that out of the way early in the morning. During winters, probably a little bit different. I go to the coffee shop before that, and then I'll do that a little bit later, 10, 11 o'clock, when I sort of want that first break from work. But routine based to make sure that I get that exercise in. I'll go down, sit by I live in Manly. When in Manly, anyone in that area understands how nice it is down by the water. So I sneak out there and sit by the water, have a coffee, and just take it all in the morning. Being by the water is an incredible thing. I know that we're all not lucky enough to have that opportunity, but the part of the world that I live in, I feel really blessed to be able to do that. So go and sit by the water, either go for a walk or as I said, run along there, and just kickstarts my day. And then, whatever comes throughout the day. But I find that running or doing that exercise takes the edge off me somewhat, and I react a lot better to certain things throughout the day. Don't know whether it's being a dad, a parent, or something at work. I feel like I'm a lot more calm and balanced in my approach once I've taken that edge off. Maybe ADHD, I'm not sure. I've never been diagnosed or anything like that, but I certainly feel like the edge has taken off me somewhat, a lot more calmer. Once I've done that, I really notice that if I have an exercise in the morning, by the afternoon, I can feel throughout the day I've been a lot more ratty, somewhat. And then at night, I was lucky enough to be exposed to the Resilience Project while playing footy. So for anyone out there that hasn't heard of it, it's pretty much being appreciative for what you've got. A lot of times in life, we're always chasing something. We're always going for that promotion at work or that next deal or we're always striving for the next house, the new car, everything in life. We don't actually stop and take a breath and go, what we've got is actually really important. And, that next deal is actually not going to bring the happiness that you think it is, or that new home's never going to bring that happiness that you think. It's the environment that you create around that. And the Resilience Project's really, really big on that. It's done by a guy, Hugh, who spent some time in India, and it's off the basis of pretty much the Indian kids over there being appreciative for what they've got instead of what they don't have. And we're blessed to live in Australia and be exposed to a lot of things, but often we skim over it. And the Resilience Project just allows you to check in at the end of the day. So it's a form of journaling, I suppose you would call it. It's got a couple of questions in the diary. It's just about what went well for you that day. It's a mix and match of questions, and they vary somewhat. But the last one's always, what are you looking forward to tomorrow? And I think it's a good way to finish the day, just to check in, just to say, what went well, what kind act are you going to do for someone today? What are 3 things that happened? What are you looking forward to tomorrow? And I think the final thing that I always write is I get an opportunity or a chance to be the best version of myself. And I truly believe that. I'm really content with where life sits for me now. I probably haven't always been that way, but as I said, I've been through it a bit over the sort of last couple of years, and where life currently sits for me, I'm really content with what I've got, the balance that I've got in my life, and I truly believe that each day I get the chance to be the best version of myself, and I can wholeheartedly say that I look in the mirror most nights and I'm very proud of the person I am.
You fantastic. And I love that discipline. And it's not a task, right? It's something you enjoy. It's like something you're running, you're enjoying it, sets you up well for the day, and you're closing off on the right note at the end of the day. I often say, I won't go too far into our industry yet because I just want to ask you a few more questions about, your resilience and your mindset side. But definitely starting a business, I always, when I'm talking to, when I'm mentoring people, it's about that first 3 months. I say it's a honeymoon period where you're like, this is great. I'm my own man. I'm running my own thing. I'm going to do my own brand. I'm going to set up my websites. All this stuff's quite exciting things. But then it typically comes to about the 3 month window. And I see it with people I coach, and you can see them looking out the window going, what am I doing this for? Should I be doing something else? Did that kind of enter your mind when you were starting out with building the broker business, or were you're very comfortable that it was the right thing for you?
No, very comfortable with doing the right thing. I was somewhere where I was effectively just doing this anyway, but giving up a fair chunk of what I was bringing in to that company, which is fine. That taught me everything I know, and more than comfortable with that and the contract I signed. But very comfortable with where it's at now and what I do. As I said before, I'm probably lucky that I've got a really good balance. So I still get the footy element of it. I get to go away and do a bit of commentating and some podcasting as well. But when I lock into work, it's really good. And I mean, the freedom and flexibility for my life is what I really love about it. Working for yourself, I couldn't work in an office. I couldn't have someone sitting over the top of me, not top sitting over the top, but markers to hit each day, each month, each week, et cetera, like that. And I know that there is, particularly in our industry, there's certain lenders that they've got to meet with X amount of brokers per week and stuff like that. I get to go about it my own pace and do my own thing. And as I said before, I got divorced. So being able to have the flexibility to be able to drop everything, go pick the kids up if they need me or spend time with them is really, really important to me. So the fact that I can do that, I don't think there's just too many industries where you can do that, where you can work from home and drop things that you need to be able to go and spend time with your kids or do different elements of stuff as well. And I also do a bit of coaching at a local school as well. So that's also a good element for me to be able to have the flexibility. But in saying that, I can also understand the other side of it as well. If there's no one around and not driving you to do stuff, I get that people are all different in this world, and there's certain things that make people tick, and some people need that guidance. They need to be in an office structure, and if I was to expand and grow a company, I think I would prefer to have it all under the one banner and in the same sort of office instead of being working remotely. I think it can motivate and drive you to good success as well. But for me, as I said before, I'm in that really good space, and I know that my purpose now is to show my children the right way to do things and also set them up with the future. So that's the factor that drives me. I don't really sit here and look out the window and go, oh, am I doing the right thing or not? I think I definitely know I am. I've been reasonably successful to kick off my campaign in this industry and really looking forward to growing it. And I mean, maybe one day I'd love to hand it over to the kids if they wanted to go down that path and do that. I know my oldest, he's only 8, but he's got a really strong maths background already. It's coming through. So if he wanted to do that, I mean, you just want your kids to be happy in
Yeah.
life and whatever they do. And if I can build it to a position where they want to jump in and continue on what I've created over a period of time, hopefully they can do that. But yeah, from the business point of view, I certainly don't sit here and go, oh shit, what am I doing?
Yeah. I got a personal question for you. Do you think confidence, you're born with confidence, or do you think you you grow with confidence? What's your take on that?
I think a combination. I think there's definitely an element to we're all created differently. I think it's quite humorous when people say, "Oh, we're all created equally and we're all given equal pathways." I don't believe that. I think there's the great thing about the world. We're all different. We all have different things that make us tick. Confidence is, I think, you can certainly have it inside you, but I mean, getting confidence is also from doing the work. I think anyone can go into any scenario. If you got me to stand up and talk about physics or something, I wouldn't have any clue what I was talking about. I could bluff my way through it for about 2 or 3 minutes, but after 5 minutes, if we got in any depth about it, I'd have no idea what I'm talking about. But if you've done the work and you understand the topic or the subject that you're talking about, I think the confidence grows from that and living those experiences. I mean, you learn most of your stuff when things don't go well, and you certainly learn that in broking as well when you think you've got a knockout deal that comes back with a decline and you're like, did not see that coming. And then you get your confidence off the back of being able to come up with a solution for it or find a new home for it or work with the lender and credit to come up with that outcome. So I think it's a twofold thing, confidence. I think there's an element of it that you're born with and it's in your persona, different levels. But I think the biggest thing comes from your lived experiences and learning.
Yeah. One thing when I'm coaching people, and it comes up often is, the distraction of noise, right? So, people like, and we work in a fairly fast paced environment. You've got you kind of, you've got the client who wants to get the approval fairly quickly. You're dealing with lenders and you're dealing with resellers of equipment, and you're negotiating, going backwards and forwards and that type of thing. So there's a lot of noise going on. And I've always been amazed, from watching professional sports people, how they can block that noise out. And in your case, I think the GABA capacity at the GABA is about 40,000 people, right? And I
Yeah.
often think, when you're behind the board, you're under pressure, you're like, how do you, has it been a natural thing to you just to block and just become focused? You don't get distracted by the noise around you. And I know it's slightly different in sports, but it does apply in business as well, where we can get, phones are ringing and distractions and all the mental stuff going on. I think they say there's about 70,000 thoughts that go through the mind of a human being a day. How do you kind of like balance that?
Yeah, I mean, footy wise, it's something that you get accustomed to. Again, like when you first start out, my first game was at the MCG in front of 70 odd thousand against Collingwood. So it was a pretty hostile environment to walk into for your first game of footy. And you just learn to block that. I mean, it's not easy now either, particularly for kids in school, but also footy players and professional people now. The amount of abuse online, and it's near impossible to get away from. When we grew up, Cal, you could go home and get away from the bully or get away from the outside noise. Now they can't, and it's a real challenge and it's something that we need to continue to evolve and look at. But I think building that resilience part of it and coming back to what's actually really important and what's real and what's not real. I mean, a lot of people will try and bring you down and discourage you, not for the right reasons. I think it's important to have a trusted circle and just lean on them and work out quickly what's really important and what's not. And the distractions that you talk about throughout the day, it's probably making sure that you've got your checklist in order. So whether you've got a diary or something like that, knowing what is the most pressing issue. If you've got a deal that needs to settle that day, then that takes priority. The other stuff you can catch up on at the close of business and stuff like that. But have a worksheet or have something that works for you, whether it's on a computer screen, whether it's a diary, whether it's handwriting or something, so that you know what you've got to get throughout that day and then ticking it off as you go. I've always got sort of reminders and whatnot of where I've got to be and what I've got to do. Just the way you've got to function now in 2025. There's so many distractions. There's your phone. You can often get caught if you're on a phone call or something, or you go to lunch and then you can go down a rabbit hole on social media and catch yourself out. So it's about coming back to what needs to be done at the right time. And again, it's probably a skill that you learn and adapt with, and you can only learn that through going through experiences. And I know we're talking about something completely different, but I actually really fear for the next generation and that resilience piece for them, on the basis of, I went to an event, a function the other day, and he was a quadriplegic and he had kids in school, and he was talking about resilience, and he spoke, I think it was Bo, he's on the Sunshine Coast, so it's a lapse, I should have known his name, but he spoke about speaking to his kids' teachers, and they said that the teacher can't actually ask a direct question to a student anymore. They have to ask a broad question. So it's a 7V times 3 or something like that. And they go, Cal, what's 7 times 3? They can't do that now because of the fear of anxiety that it puts on the kid. They
Mhm.
have to open up and say, would anyone like to answer the question? So it's a catch-22. I know there's a lot more smarter people out there than me, but I think it's a big piece that we're starting to untrain our children and our next generation about resilience and how hard it can be out there. Because, I mean, when you want to get ahead in life, nothing comes easy. Everything that you do and accomplish, it has a backstory, and there's a lot of knockbacks before you get there. And if we can't teach our next generation, and particularly if you're going into business as well, if you're thinking about stepping out, you've got to know that you can handle those stresses that come with it. You've got bills to pay. It's not as simple as just turning up, getting paid, go home, get your super, get your sick leave, and all the rest of it. It doesn't stop for business owners. You're always sort of laying there, and particularly finance brokers, you can be having conversations with your significant other or someone, and you're trying to place a deal, or you're laying there going, shit, where can I get this one done? What can I do? Oh, I've got this one. I need to get this done. And you've got all these thoughts going through your head. So it's about, I think, coming back to what's really important in that time, and identifying what needs to be done in that moment. And that's effectively what footy is. It's about making that right decision at the right time. Professional sport is about living in the moment. You can't change what's happened. You can't alter what's going to happen. I mean, no one's guaranteed tomorrow. When at the end of the day, no one is. So you've got to just really live in that moment, and that's the way you sort of shut it, all the outside noise out. I think it's refining and coming back to what's really important. What's the next thing that I need to get done?
Yeah. I mean, it's probably a naturally built-in thing for you now, but, it's the power of that reset, right? Always, when you go watch, kind of a local footy game and someone drops the ball or makes a mistake or something like that, you can see the guy really get kind of cut up by it and, kind of can ruin the whole game for him, right? Where you go to a professional game, you see the professional sports person reset really quickly. They make the mistake, but they know how quick they've got to reset from it very quickly. It's a bit like that in business, right? We have a bad day or we have a challenging day. I shouldn't say bad day, but challenging day. You've got to reset from it and just keep on moving forward very quickly. So, and do you, Tom, I'm making this assumption, but I'd say you've got a very good support network around you, that, mentors, and you've probably got more than one, but people that you refer to for guidance on occasion.
Yeah, like there's one guy that we're probably more so mates, and he'd hate that I call him a mentor, but Paul has definitely been that. He's an accountant, Paul Mills. He would hate me calling him a mentor, but he's someone that was there for me in the darkest hour, and has always been in there. And he's a fair bit older. He's very successful at what he's done. He operates from home as well, and just being able to bounce different ideas off of him. Yeah, it's you got to have certain people around you. So, as I said before, it's about that, not getting caught up in that outside noise, and coming back to what's actually really important, and trusting the people around you that you have in your life. So certainly he has been that for me, luckily enough. And I don't know where we're going with this podcast and where we get there, but he gave up the drink about 7 months before what I did, and it's been great to have him to be able to talk to about that as well, and just get the thought process off him, and talk about that as well. So there's all different elements and the life elements to it. Yeah, he's been fantastic, and I think it's really important that you have someone that you can look up to, but also someone that you can talk to, and are accessible.
I think you brought up a really interesting point there, and I see it often in people that reach a really high performance and coping with that pressure. Often they'll turn to, alcohol or drugs or some kind of addiction quite easily. And it's often when they go through that, then they come out the other side of it and they're like, look, I don't drink anymore. Or I just, they move through it and start building, because it's not a healthy habit on the way to cope. But you know, you've obviously been through that journey in your life at some stage, and come through healthy through the other end of it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't have an addiction or anything like that, but it's about the lessons I suppose you learn in life. And the one that you talked about before, like professional sportsmen, that I think there's a great clip of Roger Federer talking about how many points he's actually lost in his career and how many points he's won. He's lost a lot more than he's won, but he's one of the greatest tennis players of all time. So it's about learning and continually getting better. From the alcohol side of things, yeah, I went through some challenging times, and it could have gone one or two ways and could have continued not continued, but started to drink really excessively and not have purpose and lose where I was going, but decided to go the other way and give it away completely. Not at the time, I thought just sort of a 2-3 week period, and which I did, and then got through that, and I was like, actually, there's no real upside to this, and yeah, it's been nearly 18 months now, and I don't miss it at all. I think that yeah, speaking as I said before, like so I've got a mentor, but I've also got a psychologist that I catch up with quite regularly as well. And I think that's one element that we don't do as society well. We all go to the gym because we want to train our bodies. We get PTs, we do all that. The one thing that we often forget is actually to train our brain. Psychologists aren't there to go and get medication off and lay on the bed and tell
Yeah.
them all about your mummy and daddy issues. It's to get there, and you can actually learn strategies around what makes you tick and identifying things within your brain and actually unlock this whole new world to you. And he spoke about, particularly in Australia, the drinking culture of it's ingrained in us. From the day you're born to the day you die, you're encouraged to drink. When you're born, the day you die, your dad goes and wets the baby's head. When you're 1 year old, your mum has her first drink because she's been breastfeeding for 12 months, and then she can have her first drink his birthday. And then it just becomes a cycle,
Yes.
and particularly when you get in the work. I mean, Kel, I'm sure you've had a good day and you're like, oh, I'm going to have a beer or something to celebrate, or you've had a shit day, you'll have a beer, or
Mm.
your mate gets a promotion, you're like, all right, let's go have a drink. And it's just everywhere in life. Get to Friday, or you're watching the footy, I've got to have a beer. I'm cooking the barbecue, I've got to have a beer. I've mowed the lawns, I've got to have a beer. I'm going to Mexican, I've got to have the Corona. I'm having a steak, I've got to have a red wine. So it's just filtered into our brain all the way until obviously weddings, birthdays, etc.
Yeah.
Till the day you die, and then it's you get put in the ground, and everyone goes to a wake. So literally from the day you die for the day you're born to the day you die in Australia, it's all about drinking. And if you can break that circuit, I think it opens a whole new world. And for me, it's been probably the best thing that's happened outside having my two children, two boys. It's been probably the real eye opener for me, and I'm so glad I discovered it when I did. 34, and I've got hopefully a long life to go, and I don't want to waste it with hangovers. And I know we're getting probably a little bit deeper than you
Right.
intended here, Cal, but there's another book that I read that's the 4,000 weeks. 4,000 weeks in your life gets you to 80 years old. So let's make sure you're using them wisely. And for me, it's like, well, why would I want to waste it being hungover? I can wake up at 5 a.m. I can go for a run. I'm really attentive with my kids. My work life's better. Everything in my life is better since I've given it away. And Paul, who I spoke about before, he always says, what's the benefit to it, or has anyone ever given you a benefit once you've stopped drinking? And there isn't one. And I don't think there is. Like, obviously, it can be a relaxant in an environment that you're uncomfortable in to be able to open conversation. But probably lucky with the personality that I've got that I can hold a conversation. So I don't see a benefit to it. And yeah, I mean, I'm not telling anyone not to drink or anything like that. Everyone's got their own life to live, and go and do what you want. But from my experience, it's been a complete eye opener and opened a completely different world to me.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. And look, you're not going off topic. I actually enjoy the topic. In one thing I know about performance and business is 70, 80%, or probably more, 80% of it is mindset, habits, disciplines, behaviors, right? I mean, I get often brought into a business and they say, oh, if it's sales training, for example, I want you to teach the guys how to open and close. So yeah, I can do like tactical stuff we can do. And I want to understand what makes them tick first. Because if I don't know that, it's all totally irrelevant, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it goes back to what I was saying before about going to see a psychologist. You're obviously going in and effectively doing that, working out what works. And for the individual, you can go to a psychologist and work out what makes you tick, what makes you press go, what makes you press stop, and that stuff. And the drinking element to it, I think, would compound it. And for me, it always did. If I was having a bad day or things weren't going well, particularly at work, if your business is struggling, you have a beer, you wake up not at your best the next day, and then the weight of the world's on your shoulders. You can't see a way out. It just compounds the actual issue when the issue may be minor and you can come up with a really quick solution. But if you mask it with alcohol for a period of time, then it becomes tenfold worse and starts to spiral.
So just take a bit of a turn on it now of Rockliff Finance. Where do you want it to go in the next kind of 5 years? And I guess, you predominantly focus on asset finance, business, commercial finance. Is that right? Or you do a bit of everything?
Yeah, that's right. So nothing in the consumer space, effectively bread and butters, asset finance. But yeah, we'll do anything in the business space. So whether it's cash flow lending and stuff like that. I don't really like doing cash flow lending. I prefer to stay away from it. I mean, overdrafts and stuff are really good, but yeah, I know that every individual case is different as well. So I'm also lucky I sort of got exposed to the car wash industry somewhat. So there's always some business transactions, commercial land and stuff like that to do as well. So everything in that business space, but effectively bread and butter is asset finance. Over the next 5 years, yeah, I mean, it's just about probably finding the limit for me of what I want to do. As I said to you before, I don't really want to grow it to a position. I speak to a lot of people about certain things, and there's been people that have spoken to me about growing their brokerage business, and they get to a point where they've got 6, 7 staff and the revenue increases, but the bottom line, like their profit margin, doesn't actually increase at all. They're probably taking home less and they've probably got more stress and they're dealing with 7 or 8 different personalities. And I look at that and I'm like, well, why would I want to add those elements to what I've got? As I said to you before, if I can find that balance right of being able to work, for the amount of time that I need to earn the income that I want to earn and hit those markers, but have the balance of being able to spend time with my kids, chase them at footy training or soccer training or whatever they do. They're only going to get more involved with what they want to, and I want the flexibility to be able to do that and be there for them when they need me and guide them as best I can. So it's about just finding that balance for me. I don't think I'll grow. I don't think I'll put anyone else on. I mean, you could potentially look at an admin staff. I know that there's some really good options out there, whether it be onshore or offshore. I know that each different brokerage does it differently, what works best for the individual. But for me at the moment, I like to have a handle over all the deals that I've got on the go and control it from start to finish, because at the end of the day, if it falls over, there's only one person that made that fall over, and I can rectify the scenario or look at it and see and improve from there. I don't. So for me, it'll probably continue to be me. Who knows what's around the corner? As I said before, you don't know what's there, but yeah, if I can continue on the path, and as I said before, the last 3 months has been quite solid, and if we can continue on that path and just get a little bit more growth, I'll be really content and happy with where that sits as well.
Yeah, that's a goal. I mean, it's like I often reflect back on when I had my broker business, and if I had my time again, I'd probably do what you're doing, and that I'd probably have a support person with me, but that would be it. Often I said brokers come into the market, they go, we're going to grow out a big brokerage firm and all that. And I said, that's fine. It's your personal choice. And yes, there's advantages to doing that. But also you've got a lot of, you've got people, you've got to deal with a lot more people. And when you scale, it does, you can look at that bottom line. Is the bottom line moving with it? Because your operating costs are going up with it as well. But it's a personal choice. I get where you're at with it. If I did it again, I'd probably do, to be honest, I would probably keep it to that. Again, profitability of the business was fine and all the rest of it. And, it's a little bit easier to manage when you've got yourself as a support person. But no, understand that. Well, Tom, I won't take too much more of your time. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Again, I know we spent a lot on the mindset side of things and behaviors, but that to me is more important than talking about, setting up a business, so to speak. I think that, the audience listening into would be probably getting more out of that side of things than talking about the finance world. But thanks, Tom, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Nah, good on you, Cal. Thanks for having me.